Swee Hock Southeast Asia Center helps package and present the work on Southeast Asia that's already ongoing in the rest of the school. It helps communicate and disseminate the best thinking on problems and challenges in Southeast Asia. And finally, it has a role in terms of improving the student experience. We do take in more students from everywhere else in the world than any other comparable institution of higher learning. But here's the thing, Southeast Asia actually sends LSE more undergraduates than China, India, and the United States combined. So we have a massive student footprint here, and part of the Southeast Asia Center's role here is to improve the student experience for everyone. What's happening in Singapore on the 28th of November weekend is our Asia Forum in Singapore. One of the dangers that many other universities have had when they've tried to mount these kinds of events is that there's a little bit of we're coming down from the mountain with these tablets of information written in stone, and we're going to tell you what matters. And at LSE, we've always been very careful not to have that kind of an approach or an attitude. So we're there to listen, and we've spent a lot of time in designing the forums as they move from geography to geography to be mindful of what the concerns have been in different parts of the world. So in Hong Kong, for instance, which we did just last month, very much on the table there, democratic reforms and how Hong Kongers themselves feel about being part of the one country, two systems approach. In Singapore, for a lot of the West, the huge issue is, how is it that this nation state, which began 50 years ago with nothing in terms of natural resources, very few people, how is it that this country now, today, has a per capita income higher than that of the United States? How is it that they've been able to build the technology infrastructure? What does the education system there really do? How does it train its people? Are they thoughtful and questioning? What is the nature of the political and economic system? And what I want the Singapore Forum to do is to take on some of these questions. Not everyone will be comfortable with these questions. Many people in the West will feel that there is one system that works. It's a system of Western-style liberal democracy with free market capitalism, decisions made by free speech, no control of the media, ballot box elections. Singapore, interestingly, has adopted some, not all of these platforms, to a point where many in the West think that Singapore has spearheaded on a version of authoritarian capitalism, where the state has very strong ideas about how the polity and that economy should go, imposes that view, and actually makes a success of it. And if it were just an issue, a challenge for Singapore, for 5 million people, important as that is, the rest of the world might pay no attention. But we know that significant chunks of the developing world look at this as a system that challenges a traditional view. So what are we going to Singapore to do? We're trying to explore this set of issues. We're going to have a session that talks about political openness, democracy in other words, and economic development. We're going to have a panel that talks about how you measure development in alternative ways. The ASEAN region holds 600 million people. 10% of the 600 million people still live on less than $1 a day, while Singapore has raised ahead. How do we reconcile the developments within Singapore with the challenges and the needs of the region as a whole? And I will have ministers from the Singapore government speak to this. I will have some of the best minds from LSE who are thinking about this as a research issue, addressing this in open conversation. I hope that the Singapore Forum will, among other things, show that LSE is engaged in true communication with our stakeholders in different parts of the world. We're there to listen just as much as we are there to talk.